GMC owners spend more money making their trucks worse than they do making them better. 3 upgrades that are everywhere: truck meets, forums, your buddy's driveway. And all 3 are either useless or actively damaging your truck. But 4 upgrades actually deliver. One of them costs $150 and prevents a $2,000 repair. Another one transforms how your truck drives for less than $500. The difference between wasting money and investing, it comes down to 7 products. Here's the list. The first one is the upgrade that every GMC owner buys first. And I get it. I really do. It looks like it should work. The marketing is convincing. The box looks great. But the numbers don't lie. The cold air intake, $250 to $400 depending on brand, K and N, S and B, A-Raid, they all make one. You pull out the stock airbox, bolt on a bigger filter with a shiny heat shield, and you expect more power. Here's what you actually get. On a stock 5.3 or 6.2 with no tune, a cold air intake adds 5 to 15 horsepower on a good day. On a truck making 355 horsepower, that's 4%. You will never feel it. You will never see it at the pump. And most dyno charts show gains that are within the margin of error between pulls. But here's what nobody talks about. Some of these intakes actually make things worse. The stock airbox on a GM truck is engineered to pull cool air from outside the engine bay through a sealed path. Some aftermarket intakes replace that sealed path with an open filter sitting right next to the exhaust manifold. You're paying $300 to breathe hotter air. And the ones with oiled filters? That oil migrates onto your MAF sensor over time. Now you've got idle issues, rough running, and a check engine light, all from an upgrade that was supposed to help. So why does everybody buy one? The sound. That intake whoosh when you hit the throttle. That's what you're paying for. $300 for a sound effect. If you want that sound, buy a Bluetooth speaker. It's cheaper and it won't void your warranty. Now, I'll be fair. On a truck with a full custom tune, a cold air intake is part of the package. The tune adjusts fuel and timing to use the extra airflow. By itself on a stock truck? It's the most popular waste of money in the GMC aftermarket. But this next one is worse. Because at least the cold air intake doesn't lie to you about what it is. This next one does. Those $50 chip tuners on Amazon and eBay. You've seen them. Plug in and gain 30 to 50 horsepower. Improve fuel economy by 15%. 5-star reviews. Thousands sold. $50 to $80. They're scams. Every single one of them. People have torn these apart on camera. Inside the housing, there's either a resistor that tricks a sensor into reading differently, or there's literally nothing. Just a circuit board with blinking lights. No processing, no tuning, no calibration. Just a plastic box that plugs into your OBD port and does absolutely nothing except blink. The ones that do something are actually worse. Some modify ignition timing aggressively to create a seat-of-the-pants feeling. You think you feel more power, but what you're actually feeling is your engine knocking. Over time, that causes detonation, overheating, and internal damage that you won't catch until it's too late. Others mess with sensor readings in ways that persist even after you unplug them. Your ECU adapts to the bad data, and now you've got drivability issues on a truck that ran fine before you plugged in an $80 box. Here's the thing. Real tuning exists. HP Tuners with a custom tune runs about $400 plus credits. Diablo Sport Intune, i3 is $400 to $750 depending on the platform. These are real tools that rewrite your ECU calibration with data specific to your engine, your mods, your fuel grade. They work because they actually change something. If a tuner promises 50 horsepower for $80, ask yourself one question. If it were that easy, why didn't GM do it at the factory? They have thousands of engineers. They left 50 horsepower on the table and some guy in a garage figured it out for $80? Come on. That's not a tuner. That's a blinking light with a marketing budget. And now, number 1 on the worst list. This is the one that costs people the most money. Not because it's a scam. It's not. It's a real product that does what it says. The problem is what happens next. The budget spacer lift, body lifts, strut spacers, $100 to $300 on Amazon. Lift your truck 3 inches for under $200. And technically, that's true. You will get 3 inches of lift, What they don't tell you is what those 3 inches cost you over the next 2 years. I get why people buy these. A leveled or lifted truck looks better. It fits bigger tires, it changes the whole stance. And when you see a full suspension lift priced at $1,000 to $2,500, and then you see a spacer kit for $150, the math seems obvious. But they're doing the math wrong. A spacer lift doesn't modify your suspension geometry, it forces it. You're putting blocks between components that were engineered to work at specific angles. Your ball joints, your tie rod ends, your CV axles. They're now operating at angles they were never designed for. Every mile you drive, those components are wearing faster than they should. Here's what that looks like in real life. 6 months in, you notice a vibration at highway speed. A year in, your tires are wearing unevenly. Inside edge is gone, outside edge is fine. 18 months in, you're replacing a ball joint. 2 years in, you're doing tie rod ends and maybe a CV axle. Total damage, $1,500 to $2,000 in parts and labor. On top of the $200 you spend on the spacer kit. And if you're looking at a used truck that's already lifted, here's how you tell the difference. Get underneath it. A proper suspension lift has aftermarket upper control arms. You'll see them. They look different from stock. A spacer lift has stock control arms with a puck or block sitting on top of the strut. If you see spacers and stock arms, that truck has been running bad geometry for however long that lift's been on. Check the ball joints, check the tie rod ends, check the tire wear. That's where the damage shows up first. The correct alternative is a proper suspension lift from a company like Rough Country, BDS, or Cognito. These kits include upper control arms, corrected geometry components, and hardware that's designed to work at the new ride height. They cost more up front, $1,000 to $2,500 depending on how much lift you want, but they don't destroy anything. The spacer kit costs $200 and then costs you $2,000 more. The proper kit costs $1,500 and costs you nothing after that. The most expensive thing you can put on your truck is a cheap upgrade. And this is the proof. Those are the 3 upgrades that cost GMC owners the most money for the least return. A sound effect, a blinking light, and a geometry problem. But the next 4 are the opposite. Real money, real results, and every single one pays for itself. Number 2 on this list might be the best dollar per improvement upgrade in the entire aftermarket. Quick thing, if this is saving you from a bad purchase or making you feel better about a good one, hit subscribe. I break down upgrades, maintenance, and ownership like this every week, so you don't have to learn the expensive way. The upgrade that transforms how your truck drives more than anything else on this list, and it's not what most people think of when they hear upgrade. Bilstein 5100 shocks. About $120 each for the fronts, $100 for the rears, $450 to $550 for the complete set of 4. If your truck has over 100,000 miles on the original shocks, you've forgotten what it's supposed to feel like. The original Delco or Rancho shocks that came on most Sierras are twin-tube designs, a basic shock absorber with a piston moving through oil inside 2 nested tubes. They're adequate when new and completely worn out by 80 to 100,000 miles. You don't notice because it happens gradually. The truck starts floating over bumps. The nose dives under braking. Highway driving feels loose and vague. You think that's just how trucks ride. It's not. That's how worn-out shocks ride. The Bilstein 5100S are a completely different design. Monotube, one piston, high-pressure nitrogen gas charge that keeps the oil from foaming under repeated compression. That's why they don't fade on rough roads or under heavy loads the way twin tubes do. The valving is digressive, which means they firm up on big hits but stay comfortable on small bumps. It's not a stiff ride, it's a controlled ride. There's a difference. But here's the real ownership detail. They're adjustable. You can set the front ride height in multiple positions, which gives you a level look or up to 2 inches of lift without spacers, without geometry problems, without accelerated wear on anything. It's a lift and a ride upgrade in one part. You can do it yourself in an afternoon with basic hand tools, and the difference is immediate. First drive after install, you'll wonder how you drove the old ones for that long. Under $500, transforms the truck, no downsides. That's what a real upgrade looks like. This next one costs even less, and it protects your engine from a repair that costs thousands. The oil catch can, About $150 for a quality baffled unit. Here's what it does. Your engine produces blow-by gases, oil vapor, and combustion byproducts that get recirculated back into the intake through the PCV system. On engines with active fuel management or direct injection, that oil vapor coats the intake valves and builds up as carbon deposits over time. Eventually, those deposits restrict airflow, cause misfires, and require a carbon cleaning service that runs $1,500 to $2,000. A catch can intercept that oil vapor before it reaches the intake. It condenses it, traps it, and you empty it every oil change. Takes 30 seconds. I covered catch cans in my 10 hidden tricks video if you want the full breakdown. But here's what matters for ownership. When you empty that can and see how much oil was headed for your intake valves, you'll understand exactly why this is on the list. If you're seeing a lot of oil in there, your engine has significant blow-by and this can is doing serious work. The key detail: get a baffled catch can, not a basic one. Baffled designs separate oil from air far more effectively. Brands like Volant and Corsa make quality units in the $150 range. The cheap $30 ones on Amazon are basically empty cans with two fittings. They catch some oil. A baffled unit catches almost all of it. $150 that prevents a $2,000 service. That's the definition of a smart upgrade. But this next one, this is where your truck starts to feel like a different vehicle. A catback exhaust system, $560 for an MBRP, $600 to $900 for a Flowmaster, $1,100 to $1,450 for a Borla, real systems from real manufacturers. Let me be honest about the numbers first. On a naturally aspirated 5.3 or 6.2, a catback exhaust adds 10 to 15 horsepower. It's not going to pin you to the seat. But horsepower isn't why you buy a catback. You buy it for the complete transformation. Throttle response sharpens because you've reduced back pressure in the exhaust path. The engine breathes out easier, which means it responds faster when you breathe in. And the sound, not the fake intake whoosh from a cold air intake, real exhaust tone from a V8 that finally sounds like what it is. Here's the brand breakdown so you know what you're getting. MBRP is the value play. 560, aluminized or stainless, clean tone without being obnoxious. Best bang for the buck. Flowmaster is the aggressive option. That classic American muscle rumble with a louder note, but some systems have highway drone that bothers people on long drives. Borla is the premium. Deep, refined, zero drone at cruise. You're paying more, but you're getting a sound that doesn't get old after 6 months. Here's the ownership detail that separates a good exhaust from a bad one. Forget single exit versus dual exit. That's cosmetic. The real difference is mandrel bent tubing versus crush bent. Mandrel bent means the tube diameter stays consistent through every bend. Crush bent means the tube gets pinched at every turn, creating restrictions. A catback system is downstream of the catalytic converter. It doesn't affect emissions equipment. Dealers can't use it to deny a warranty claim on your engine or transmission. It's one of the few upgrades that genuinely has no downside. Stay with me here, because number one is the upgrade that every single 5.3 and 6.2 owner needs to hear about. It costs less than one monthly truck payment, and it prevents the single most expensive repair on these engines, the AFM disabler. Range Technology makes the most popular one. Around $270, plugs into your OBD port, no tune, no permanent modification. Pull it out anytime, and your truck is bone stock again. Here's what it does and why it matters more than anything else on this list. Every 5.3 and 6.2 liter GMV8 with active fuel management or dynamic fuel management has a system that shuts down cylinders to save fuel. In theory, it's smart engineering. In practice, it's the number one cause of lifter failure on these engines. The lifters that activate and deactivate the cylinders wear out prematurely. When they fail, they can take out the camshaft with them. That repair, lifters, cam, gaskets, labor, runs $2,500 to $4,500 at a shop. Some jobs go higher when there's collateral damage. The AFM disabler keeps your engine running on all 8 cylinders all the time. The lifters never cycle. The failure mode that costs thousands of dollars simply never happens. Now, the trade-off. You lose 1 to 2 miles per gallon on the highway. Let's do the math. At 15,000 miles a year and $3.50 a gallon, that's $200 to $400 in extra fuel annually. The disabler costs $270. A lifter job costs $4,000. You break even on the disabler in the first year. Every year after that, you're saving money compared to the guy who kept AFM active and is now shopping for a machine shop. And it gets better. This is plug and play, no tuning software, no laptop, no dealer visit. Plug it in, start the truck, and you're running full V8. If you ever need warranty work, unplug it. Truck goes back to stock. No codes, no trace, no argument. The cheapest way to prevent the most expensive repair on a GM V8, that's not just an upgrade. That's the first thing you should buy the day you drive it off the lot. 3 worst, 4 best. 7 upgrades that either drain your wallet or protect it. The pattern is simple. The worst upgrades promise big numbers for small money and deliver nothing. The best upgrades promise modest improvements for reasonable money and deliver exactly what they say. No gimmicks, no blinking lights, no forced geometry. Just parts that work. If you've already got one of the worst ones installed, now you know. If you've been thinking about one of the best ones, stop thinking and start ordering. The Bilstein shocks and the AFM disabler alone will transform your truck for under $800 total. If you want more ways to make your GMC run better, watch 10 Hidden Tricks to Make Your GMC Run Better right here. And if you want to know how to make it last past 300,000 miles, that one's right here. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.